Everyone. How are you? It's Leslie Flowers here with my co-host Permilia Parham, and come into the house. The chat is open today. We reboot the 12-week series, The Best Lessons in Think and Grow Rich. So I'm so glad that you're all here. Let me go out to LinkedIn to make sure that we are broadcasting. I just want to double check here. Yes, we are. We are broadcasting. No problem. So this is my beautiful co-host, Permilia Parham. We've worked together for a number of months. And so come into the chat and let us know where you're calling from. Hi, Tanya. Welcome to the call. It is what I would say to you is certainly where I live. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going our way. Right, Permilia?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, good morning, Elizabeth. Elizabeth
Yes,
and I
hi, Elizabeth and
had a
Pallavi.
chat this week. Oh,
Yes, and
greetings from India. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Ramathula.
Mhm.
Excellent. Jackie, welcome. Awesome to see you here. You're calling in from Michigan. We've got India. We don't know where Ramanthulia is from yet. Elizabeth's in South Florida. Tanya, are you in Michigan? I could be wrong. So, welcome to the reboot. This is a fourth series I've done, the third time live. Hey, Harvey. Okay, absolutely. Just listen. Harvey is here, and Melody is here from Massachusetts, another phenomenal co host. So get to know everybody. And you want to, Liliana, good morning. Um, you're just leaving jujitsu. Ah, Tanya, that's right. South Africa and Michigan, they're a lot alike, aren't they? So, so the purpose of this 12-week series is to give you the best lessons in Think and Grow Rich, right? So if you haven't read it or you've only read it once, you want to be curious about why is this the number 2 bestseller of all time with 100 million copies sold since 1937, little less than 100 years. And it is the blueprint for wealth, health, and happiness, massive success. So why don't we have 100 million millionaires? Permilia, why don't we? I mean, if the blueprint for success is there, it's been used by over the last 100 years by our most wealthy, happy, and healthy citizens, and particularly in personal development, almost every program that's been created by personal development greats has the seeds of the principles of success. So, Permilia, in your experience, why don't we have 100 million millionaires?
Because people are not following the the formula that is in Think and Grow Rich, of which one
Why?
is the
Why aren't
purpose.
they?
Because they're not dedicated enough, or maybe they don't have their definite purpose yet. They don't know what their definite purpose is, which is
Aha, excellent.
key.
Right.
Key.
And that's what today is all about. But that can be your goal. So most everybody will have a goal. Yes, we just have to teach. You have to learn how to make it definite, right? So everybody
Absolutely.
has goals, but today's lesson is about its clarity, its specificity. So you alluded to the point people aren't willing. They're not willing to do the work, and that's okay. Only about 3 people out of 100 will do this work. Okay. So let's see. Lots of people allow their, well, absolutely. This is an excellent reason here. And Elizabeth says, because a lot of people, most people, let their circumstances get in the way. I didn't have the money. Well, I'll have to wait until I do. I don't know how. Well, I better do some more research before I do anything. So the whole thing is we live in this automatic response society. We want everything right away. but there's only about 3 people out of 100 that are willing to do the work. It's not hard work, is it, Permelia?
No, no, you just have to stick to it. You have to
That's
stay with it, give up
so
and not stop just because maybe circumstances get in the way, or maybe you're not your goal that you have you've decided to achieve isn't showing up fast enough for you. So you just, that, and that's why it's so important to have a definite purpose, because then that's
absolutely.
kind of your guiding light.
Yes, and when you worked with me over the 12 weeks, so people work with me to apply these things, right? Because you're going to understand all of the principles of success. Intellectually, you're going to get them. You're going to get all the lessons. You don't even have to pick up the book, frankly. And that's why I'm doing this, is because this is a thick book. And I've read it over 80 times and studied it. Okay, you can see all the tabs and everything, right? And I had a burning desire to become a master of this work. Don't ask me why, other than I just loved what happened to people when they got this. So it is really through the implementation. So if you get this and you want to do the next step, then you find somebody who has a process based on this and everything else, which is what I have. And fortunately, I have tracked over 15 years 500 12-week goals based on the laws of achievement, which include the principles of success, universal laws, and a comprehensive checklist, so that when you set your goal, you know exactly how to do it. So we don't worry so much about the how of things, but when it comes to rules and checklists, those we need because they guide us.
Yeah, they
So,
keep us on
so
course. Hmm.
that's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see. We want to welcome a few more people here before we get going here. Love this. Okay. So Harvey is driving. Thank you for letting me know. He's going to intently listen. So, yeah, listening. So, you want to be listening for something you already know. This is the trick. Now, we're going to go to 10:45. We only do 45 minutes for a very specific reason. It's a lot.
There's a
Also,
lot we pack into 45 minutes.
there really is. And this is the most important chapter, the introduction. It's not even a principle. It is the introduction, whether you've read it or not. It is the seed that you must start with. And it's all about creating a definite purpose around something you want. To Permelia's point, you do have goals. What you want to do is identify them clearly and what you want to get out of it. How will it impact other people? So you could say, I mean, I use purpose, intention, goal the same. It's something I want. I have a reason why I want it. It makes a difference in people's lives. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. Keep
And
that.
Elizabeth's got a great comment here that people need to change their old beliefs, and it also takes work. So,
Yes, and actually, too, thank you for that. Actually, you do not change your old beliefs. Allow me to distinguish that. You can't change them. You can't change one belief into another. I can't change a chair into a couch, right? They're the same energy. You create a new belief. And doing this work over 12 weeks, you actually prove to yourself, right, through achievement, that you can do things you didn't know how to do. And oh, by the way, you deserve them. And oh, by the way, you really did a great job. And this is how we build confidence. So this work allows you to create new beliefs that serve you better. Only
absolutely.
one will dominate, right? And
And you
most of
can
our
choose.
beliefs,
Yeah,
right? And
you can choose.
most of them are negative. our existing beliefs because they started when we were younger and we didn't want to embarrass ourselves or we were afraid of what people would think about us. So we hold ourselves back, and we do that so often that it's an
So
automatic part of us.
Elizabeth had a question about how do people find their purpose? I think that's a great question. So maybe we should answer that question.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Well, you'll listen and you'll be able to tell in today's lesson. Okay. It's a great question, great points, but we have limited time. So great. We'll come back in afterwards and answer your questions in the comments and be listening for the answer you're looking for. So everybody set an intention right now, jot it down, except for Harvey, who's driving. Don't jot it down. Right. So, what is your intention on being in this series? Are you going to do the whole 12 weeks? Are you here for the seed? Do you want all the principles of success? Right now, each week I will backtrack. So, when we get to week 12, I'm going through 1 through 11 to remind you because this is all sequential and it starts with definite purpose. And I do want to share just a little bit about Napoleon Hill. So bear with me for a minute. The last time I did this, I think we spent a whole time on Napoleon Hill. So let me just give you a little background about this guy. Probably known as the 20th century greatest reporter on success. Yet he was a reporter and he was 19 years old when he met Andrew Carnegie. Hey, Ashwarya. He met Andrew Carnegie, who put him to work. Oh, by the way, without pay, and challenged Napoleon Hill to spend the next 20 years investigating, researching what is it that the successful citizens of which he tracked over the 20 years multiple times, 500 of them, but interviewed thousands until he determined who were those 500. And by the way, he wasn't paid. However, most of our manifestations come from unexpected sources. They don't come the way we think they ought to because there's more at play here. So he made plenty of money through the connections, right? And so Andrew Carnegie asked him to find out what is the distinction between the 3 people out of 100 who are wealthy, happy, and healthy, not rich and sick, right? Like you really want to enjoy life. And if you follow this and you do this work, I'm 110 and look at what this work has done for me, right? And learning is our miracle grows. So this stuff keeps me alive. And that's why I do it every day, because nothing makes me feel like a toddler, right? More like a toddler is when I see in your face that you get this work. It is exciting. It really is, isn't it, Permelia?
It is, and it does keep us here, sure, because we are engaged with knowing and helping and assisting people to find this work.
Yes, and so you will develop your purpose. It's not hard work. It just takes you saying, I'm a 3%er. Now, I want you to come up with an intention. What do you want to get today? What do you want to know? You can write it in the comments. An intention to learn how to develop my definite purpose. Intention to learn something that I never knew before that really resonates with me. Anything that I say, and Permelia and I are here to give you ideas of new ways to think. This is all about thinking. The only thing that human beings can control is what we think and how often we think it, and the sequence in which we think it, which is autosuggestion, which is the 4th principle of success. There are 13, right? So Napoleon Hill wrote the book, and that's really it. He started with a big long name and they didn't sell any, ripped off the cover, only changed the title to Think and Grow Rich, and boom, it was a runaway success. So Let's begin with definite purpose in the introductions. And there are three stories,
Mhm.
right, that he explains. And I want you to be listening for the lesson, and we'll tell you what the lesson is. But in a story, you can visualize what I am saying, and I will describe it, and so will Permelia. So that in your mind's eye, on the screen of your mind, you actually visualize the story. With it traps the high vibration. These are good stories, right? And these are with lessons, right? So I think all our stories are pretty much the same, different day, time, people, ages, challenges, but we are all human and we all have automatic negative beliefs that tend to stop us from doing something we don't know how to do. And that right there, that if you think about all the great successes, the computer, the airplane, Thomas Edison and his incandescent bulb, my goodness, they say he tried it 10,000 times before he hit on what would make this light bulb light up. What is it that would have a person stay compelled? Well, next week is burning desire, but it's built on definite purpose, right, Permelia?
Absolutely. I was going to say he had a definite purpose. He was going to create a light bulb.
That's exactly right. And he wasn't stopping, and we don't know why. Only you know why you're compelled to follow something through, right? We don't know why. So the first story that he tells, and just visualize this, is a story, and Permelia is going to give you the real results after I tell this story. Okay. So Edwin Barnes lived in New Jersey, and he decided one day that he's going to go to West Orange, New Jersey, and become the partner of Thomas Edison, the greatest inventor. Two things: he had no money, and he had no clue. Oh, he didn't know Thomas Edison. So, like, that was most people there are going to give up, right? I don't have the money. And that's one of our six fears, which we'll learn way down the line, right? Which is automatic. It's the fear of poverty. So I believe I need money and I don't have any money, nor do I know Thomas Edison or anyone who can introduce me. So most people give up. He didn't. Because he didn't have any money, he rode a freight train, jumped a train, which is called riding blind baggage, which I think is so interesting. Now, he showed up on Edison's doorstep, and when Edison saw him, what he saw was a tramp. He saw someone who'd been riding blind baggage, hadn't shaven, probably smelled, wanted food, and looked like a hobo or a tramp. And the man had such a desire when he told him, I'm here to go into partnership with you. What? What would you do if somebody showed up on your door? But what did Edison know? Because remember now, Edison has thought his way to riches. He knows that having a definite purpose is what motivates him long enough to complete his invention. He hired Barnes. He said he did it because of the look in his eye. Edison used his intuition, perhaps. Maybe he saw himself. But in any case, he hired him in a local, in his offices, in his lab, doing menial work. But what did Barnes do while he worked for Edison for 5 years? Do you remember what he did, Permelia? Every day. Remember, he had told Edison, I'm going to be your partner. But Edison has a whole sales group that sells everything. So, how is he going to become a partner? He didn't know. He just knew that's what he was going to do, and he would die, work right there with Edison. He even said that he will not leave until he's a partner. So, Permelia, give us your thoughts. What did he do, and what do we do when we're going towards something that we want very much every day to keep it alive? Do you remember?
you just have to believe that it's going to happen, and you have to have that definite purpose, and you don't give up. And that's what happens so many times. People will, oh, it's not happening soon enough for me. Or I mean, Barnes worked for Edison for 5 years before he got the
Yes.
opportunity to be in partnership with him. So, I mean, how many people actually stay at something for 5 years, not knowing what the end result is?
So, where I was actually going, and that is absolutely true. So, listen, that she said they did not give up. That's one of the elements of the 3%. But he visualized being his partner every day. You know, and that has to do with thinking. I'm going to picture myself already being Edison's partner. And that is exhilarating, and that raises your vibration. And if you know me, you know the universal laws, that starts the movement of the thing you want toward you. It will match your vibration. So you can keep it alive by visualizing it every day, because the picture traps the high vibration. And by the way, mind is an activity in your cells. So consider it's not your brain, and it's not an organ that's localized. It is an activity. So when you're thinking, when you think something good, all that research shows that all the proteins move in one direction together, and you've got a spring in your step. And when you're feeling crummy, which is not natural, but certainly a challenge that we were given to not have a pot of gold at our feet every day, but that we actually have to do something to deserve, right, this thing that we want. Now I
And
kind of
Barnes did that. He took action.
he did.
He stayed with Edison for 5 years. He visualized. He, in his mind, he was a partner already.
That's
That's what
right.
he wanted. He wanted to be in partnership with Edison, and in his mind, he was,
That's right.
regardless of doing.
Absolutely. So here's a picture of the Ediphone. The Ediphone came along, which is the precursor to the dictaphone. Here it is right here. Okay. And all the salesmen in Edison's business poo-pooed him, right? They said, we don't want to do it. No one's going to buy it. They were making plenty of money with all the other inventions. So they turned their nose up at it. And that is where Barnes stepped in, because he knew he could sell this. And he actually did. He signed a contract with Edison, made millions of dollars, and had the right on every Ediphone to say, manufactured by Edison, installed by Barnes. So what's the lesson here? Never
Give up.
That is correct, right? And his definite purpose was so compelling that he was willing to go till the ends of the earth. And notice that his success came in an unexpected way. Permelia, if he hadn't visualized every day, well, I don't know that he'd been there 5 years, but let's say he didn't visualize. Do you think he would have known that the Ediphone was his opportunity? Or do you think he would have moved into the humdrum of just working? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I do. I think he would have just stayed being a clerk or working, menial admin jobs that Edison's gave him. So
Yes.
it was so
Yes.
important for him to be visualizing that and believing that he, in fact, was going to be Edison's partner.
Yes. Excellent. So that is the lesson for this lesson. Now the next one, and jot down what you're getting. These are the lessons. So I've read it over 80 times. Actually, it's more than 90 now, and studied it. I just met someone the other day who actually has read it 30 times, over 15 years, read it twice a year. He knew a lot. I've never met anybody else that was, nearly, not quite as proficient.
That was a good conversation.
Oh my God, he's going to come and co-host. His name is Joel
Fabulous.
Solomon, right? Obviously, because he's been using this. He's in financials. Okay. So the next story in around definite purpose, what are you hearing about definite purpose? It's got to compel you beyond your fears, right? Well, it's got to be so clear and you've got to visualize it. Everything is really created twice. You might consider this. You may not understand yet how it works, but lots of stuff works that I don't know yet. So we want to be careful not to discount anything, but just kind of consider it like with a good wine. Roll it around in your mouth a little bit, right? Spit it out if you don't like it, right? If it's Ripple or if it's muscadine grape, which is super sweet. I can't stand it. But anyway, so the next lesson is about the gold rush days. This is all in the introduction, and this is the basis for everything. And Melody had said that she learned something new every time she does this 12-week series. Why? Because you know more when you're finished with today than you did before you started. You've thought differently, right? You're thinking about what your intention is. What is your purpose, right? The purpose of a goal or something you want is to keep you motivated into action until you achieve it, period. You've got to stay motivated. Well, how do you do that? Well, it starts with a very specific purpose like Barnes had. Now, the next story is about the gold rush days, right? 1849, R.U. Darby and his uncle. Here's a picture, not necessarily of them, but everybody was wild with gold fever, right? So R.U. Darby and his uncle borrowed money from the family and staked a claim and did really well. They got money from the rest of their family. They bought all the equipment. They had a really rich gold vein, like, in a matter of weeks, which is pretty short order, frankly. Where Barnes waited 5 years, right? This guy in 3 weeks was hitting gold. But then something happened. The gold vein dried up. So there's an obstacle and it shut down their operation. So what did R.U. Darby do? He didn't know certain things. So he sold all the equipment to the junk man on the site for a couple $100 and went on about his way, which, by the way, he learned and paid back all that money to his family. But here's what happened. The junk man found the site geologist. That's one of the lessons, or one of the principles, is specialized knowledge. So he found the site geologist. The geologist did a little bit of this and that and said, oh, the geologist knew about fault lines. Darby didn't know about fault lines. Neither did the junk man, but he knew to seek specialized knowledge. And the junk man said, oh, you're 3 feet from the vein picking up again. And sure enough, 3 feet further, and there's a book, 3 Feet from Gold. Do we stop at 3 feet before we're going to get there? We don't know exactly how it's going to show up. So how is it that we stop? Right? Because Barnes didn't know. R.U. Darby didn't know. The junk man didn't know. So why is it that we allow obstacles and outside conditions and circumstances to stop us? Because the definite purpose is not compelling. You don't want it more than anything else. You don't have good reasons why you want it. Oh, right. The more you want it and the more it serves, the more motivated you will stay. Right. So ultimately, the junk man became very wealthy. Right. And R.U. Darby learned his lesson. The lesson is the same thing. What is it, Permelia?
Don't
Same thing
give
as
up. And also
never give up. Go ahead.
Never give up, and also seek expertise when you don't
Expert
know.
advice, although that's not part of this, but specialized knowledge. Napoleon Hill in this book brings them all together. We're not going to do every chapter, right? Because some of the chapters, like faith and autosuggestion, belong together, right? Because you build faith through repetition, right, of thought, which is another lesson down the road. So now we have not giving up, a definite purpose. It is compelling. Compelling is, likely this thing that you want. Yes, it's going to make you money, but as a heart-centered servant, you really want to look at what will it do for others. So let me ask Permelia this question. So Permelia has created 10 businesses, and her latest business, which I'm so excited about, and it's going beautifully, is the Healing Institute. And what she's done is brought together healers from all over the world, half a dozen nations so far, online in an institute of learning, so that if I want healing, I can go to one place and have my choice of different healing modalities. And what's even better is those healers mastermind, and very often two of them will get together to work with a client where both modalities work. So what is it that had you've had 10 business, Permelia, what is it that had you determine that what the world needs now is a place to bring healers together, so that we don't have to go to all these different places, and they get to do their thing for us. So briefly tell us, what is it that had you do this thing? Why did you do this? You had other business. What was your definite purpose? What is your definite purpose?
Well, a great question. Thank you for asking, Leslie.
Thank you.
Definite purpose is to heal the world. And I truly believe that the holistic practitioners that are part of the Healing Institute are healing the world, and they're available for people. We need to give hope. Our mainstream medical has actually failed us, and so we now have more holistic ways of being well and staying well, which actually are better. And we just need to let people know that we do have these wonderful holistic practitioners and these modalities. And so for the client, for the people coming to the Healing Institute website, it's one-stop shopping. And as Leslie said, as practitioners, when engage with a practitioner, and that practitioner knows all the other practitioners and what they offer, then we get together and put together a plan for the client, for the patient, so that they, on their healing journey, on their health journey, which we're all on a health journey, they get to stay well and be well.
Excellent. Excellent. And for those of you who know me, and you may already know this, that it's all about restoring our vibration to its natural state, which is a high vibration, which is love, generosity, kindness. But our beliefs, which originated through, and usually from friends and respected people, as unsolicited gifts through repetition. You're not very good at that. You're not very good at that. You're not very good at that. Try something else. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We'll have to wait. And that's autosuggestion. That's how we learned multiplication. So what you want to know is that what we think and the repetitiveness of it, how it makes us feel, and the spaced increments over time, it mimics, it's biomimicry. It mimics the same process that gave you the beliefs that don't serve you. So now what happens is, every time you do something, you achieve a goal that you didn't know how to do, that you were compelled to do, that had a definite purpose, that you would spend the rest of your life working on it. Permelia, you would work for the rest of your life on it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
You may well do that. You may well do that to heal the world.
We'll be doing that.
Right. There you go. There you go. So that is what you want to be looking for. Now, look, the next week is about building desire. But this seed, this kernel. Now, there's another story right? And this one, and these are the messages. These are the lessons. This is the foundation of success, people. If 100,000 people bought it and all our personal development greats have lined their pockets using this in their own programs, right? You can do it too. You can do it just like them. Barnes wasn't anything special. He didn't have any money. He didn't know Edison, right? R.U. Darby knew Bupkis about the gold mines. And clearly, now I will tell you that he went on, he remembered that lesson, and he went on to be one of the very few life insurance salesmen that made over $1 million a year, because every time he said, someone said no, he looked at the little girl in this story. So it's 100 years ago at a mill, and the farm manager is there with R.U. Darby, his nephew, talking, and the door opens to the mill or the barn, and in walks a little black girl about 6 years old. Now, I want you to think about the United States 100 years ago and the way we regarded people of color. Sometimes I wonder if we haven't come very far in many respects. But in any case, what she did, he said, "What are you doing here? Get out of here." And she said, "My mammy said, give me 50 cents. Now, clearly her mother had said, "Go to the manager. Don't come home without 50 cents." That was her definite purpose. We can assume that because she crept in and he said, "I'm not giving you anything. Get out of here," and turned back around and started talking to R.U. Darby again. And she said, "Yes, sir," and didn't move. Stood there. So he turned around when he saw her again. He said, "I thought I told you to leave." "Yes, sir. My mammy said I have to have 50 cents before I go home." Well, he got mad, right? He started to lose his temper, and he picked up a barrel stave, which are the things that keep the barrel together, and went after her. And as he did, she stepped toward him and hollered out, "My mammy said, give me 50 cents. She stepped toward him and hollered. He stopped, reached in his pocket, pulled out the 50 cents, and handed it to her. He was concerned and curious how she was able, this little girl who had by all rights should be afraid of him, how she disarmed him. So what's the lesson here, Permelia?
Well, it's the same lesson. Don't give up.
That's right. But she was afraid. Did she have a definite purpose?
She had a definite purpose. That
What do
50
you
cents
think
she was putting
compelled
home.
her to not only not leave, but to step toward him when he came after her with a barrel stave?
Well, I think that's what's important too, is often when we have something that comes up as that's in our way of getting our goal, we back up. And I think this is a perfect analogy about how we need to step towards it. We need to
And
be more confident.
what about her burning desire and definite purpose? How did that figure into her stepping toward him and not going home without the 50 cents?
Well, I think that was her definite purpose. That was how.
And her mother must have said, and I don't come home with another C, right? The parents said,
Right.
"Don't bother to come home if you can't get above a C." But right, but her mother said, "Don't come home. I'll wear you out. You've got to come home with that 50 cents. No excuses." That was her burning desire. She was compelled. And if you think about yourself, I'm thinking about myself actually, when somebody did something unfair to my child, right? Oh my goodness, don't we go toe to toe with them?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
we have a burning desire, we have a definite purpose. We don't care what we look like, what we sound like, what we say, right? We are like that little girl in that anybody who messes with our children and we know it's wrong, oh, don't we have a definite purpose? So you could actually use something like that to resurrect the vibration and the memory. Let's see what we have here. She had an absolute belief, and so no other option other than getting the
Yeah.
50 cents. Well, the belief was that she was going to get a spanking if she didn't. She didn't know that she was going to get that money. She just knew she didn't know how she was going to do it.
Which is
Right.
another
But
great lesson, because sometimes we don't need to know how. We just have to
that is
believe.
correct.
We just have to believe that what we want is going to come to us from the vibration that we are holding and having. And if it's a high vibration, that's how the universe, we attract it. That's how the
But
universe
do
brings us.
we actually believe it when we start? Did Barnes believe
I
yet
think he
that he
did.
would be?
I think
I
he did.
don't think that you do believe. I don't think she believed she could get that money. I think this is one viewpoint that her definite purpose motivated her to get it. Then,
Mm.
after she did it, she realized, oh my God, I didn't know how I was going to get it, but I got it. Just like with Barnes, he had no clue. He didn't believe it. He just knew it, which is different. It isn't until we actually complete this thing that we wanted very much that we did not know how to do that we develop faith.
Ah,
And faith is the step, right? Is faith is knowing that you know it. So that is the point where you've created a new belief. So when people say, you have to believe it, I'm wondering if maybe it isn't belief, that it is purpose. It is being compelled or motivated. And that's what we'll talk about next week, which is desire. Okay. So, and as Ashif, welcome Ashif, and all of you who are here, I'm so excited that you're here. You visualize it exactly if you want money. And well, one thing I was going to bring up, just so that you could see this, just a little promotion, right? When you work with me over 12 weeks, we actually do a goal and implement all these things every week, several times a week, including the universal laws. So, working with me, I know where you're going to slip, and I know exactly what you need to know so that you don't, or what to do when you do. The idea is to never give up on your on your definite purpose, right? And part of my work is, just so you know, that this is coming up next week. The new series, The 12 Laws of High Achievement, starts next Wednesday at noon for 12 weeks. These are the laws that I have used that come from Think and Grow Rich, and also 25 years in personal development, universal law that my clients use to achieve their goals. Permelia, did you achieve your goal the last time we worked together in 12 weeks?
I definitely did, and I achieved my goal the previous time that I worked with you. So I
Yes.
can say for sure I'm a living, walking testimonial for Leslie Flowers. You need to work with her.
Well, it's more like want, like, because you
Well, you
really
have to
don't.
want, of
Yeah,
course, you
you
have to
have to
want.
want it. If you think you need it, there's a hunger in learning. And when you're compelled and you're excited about an idea and you're going to make a difference in the world, and you've got some rules to go by, like, how do I determine my definite purpose? That's what next week, when I start that 12 week, those are the 12 laws of people who are high achievers. That is, they do things they don't know how to do to serve the world, and they do a damn good job of it. So that is what we've done today. We've discussed definite purpose. Now, next week, we're going to get into desire and into burning desire. So I recommend that if you haven't read the introduction, feel free to read it, read the chapter on desire or not. But the lessons that you have learned today is not to give up, that you do not have to know how. And that's one of the laws. In fact, if you have a goal or a purpose that you know how to do, scrap it. You will not stay motivated. You would have already done it if you know how to do it. But now you have all this new information. So, what we are going to do is next week, we're going to talk about desire. Then we're going to get into, and I'll go back over definite purpose. Then we're going to get into faith, exactly how to build faith, how you got the faith you already have in God, as an example, and auto suggestion, how this repetitive thinking builds belief. And then we'll get into decision. When you know what your definite purpose is, decisions are easy because you're not confused. When we're confused or unclear, we don't take any action. I don't. I don't move until I'm clear on what to do next. But that doesn't mean that I have to know exactly how to reach my goal. It's just, what do I do next? Right? That's all you have to do. And a lot of times with my clients, that's the challenge is, well, what do I do next? Well, that's the process that I've created over 15 years that works like a charm is, and I was compelled to be a master at this, mostly because I love to teach, right? And I found it eye-opening. I started doing things that I didn't know how to do, and they were working. And then I started noticing that my manifestation or the achievement came from unexpected sources. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the way that I thought it was going to happen. So that is a real eye opener. Then we'll go on to imagination, which is the workshop of the mind, and the two kinds of imagination and how you visualize. So remember that Barnes, every day as he worked at Edison's office or in his lab, visualized already being his partner, because it was exciting and motivating to him, and it raised his vibration. I was telling you, everything is created twice. Consider. First, on the screen of our mind, when we come up with the idea, ooh, what it would be like. I want a beach house by Christmas time. I'm already in the beach house. It's exciting. My family is coming, right? If that's an example. Right. As soon as you visualize it and get excited about it, the second iteration is on its way to you. You don't go anywhere. We don't step into the future. The future arrives at our doorstep. So we are the source. We're the only living thing on this planet that can take an idea, which is thought energy, and turn it into physical form. It's powerful. And when you understand this, life opens up in a whole new way. And then we'll go on to persistence, right? And persistence and desire, along with definite purpose. If you do nothing else with any of the rest of them, you got to have those three. I don't care if you don't have any of the other ones. Anybody who achieves will have a definite purpose. They will fall in love with it, and they will be motivated long enough to persist. Of course, the more of these that you use and apply, the easier it becomes. Thank you. Look at my sweet friend, Donald. So now you understand, right? We're a little bit over. You know what? Restream. There we go. There we go. Thank you, Donald. Donald is here. Oh my gosh, he has a show. Now let's see if I can get this to hide. So I want to thank, first of all, Permelia,
Well,
because
thank you for inviting me again. I enjoy doing these.
you're welcome. And each week I'll have a different co-host, although Permelia will show up. I don't have 12 different co-hosts, but if you love Think and Grow Rich and you've read it and you're willing to read the chapter in advance and come to me a few minutes before the show with 2 points you want to make, right? Because you'll know what they are, right? Then you can be my co-host and we can do this together. So remember, as we complete, any last words, Permelia, that you would say to the audience? By the way, how was your intention, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get what you wanted to get? Did you get something new that resonated with you? Whatever you got was perfect. If and something was confusing, let it go. We only think one thought at a time. So pick the ones that make you feel good. So any last words, my friend Permelia?
I would just say that not having to worry about the how is very important because we do get all caught up in how we're going to make it work. And so then we don't allow the universal laws and the vibration that needs to help us manifest what we want.
That's right. That's right. And remember that just because you, and that's excellent, and just because you don't know exactly yet how it works doesn't mean it's not working. How many times have you been sure that somebody's wrong or this can't be so? And then a few years later, you've learned more and you go, oh my God, you really can. Right. So be open and start looking for unexpected results, things that you want to show up. And remember, always, when you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. Because at the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet, simple song of the lark. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to my co host. This closes out episode 1 of 12. Definite purpose. See you next Friday at 10 a.m.